Up until recently, we were focusing more on in-app purchases, and we were trying to develop the games which would monetize 70% with in-app purchases and up to 30% with ads. But recently we had a shift in strategy, focusing more on casual games. And that's why we shifted also the way we look at monetization. And the split is becoming more 50-50. Like, from my perspective, there is definitely one big trend, which is with the appearance of hyper-casual companies, the space is changing rapidly because they need to launch the games fast, they need to operate fast, and the whole process of game development is becoming at a faster pace. That's why, looking at them, at the automation that is happening in the game development, at the speed they are making prototypes and then go for launch, we are trying to kind of take that from them and take that experience and utilize it in our reality, in the games, to apply it to the games that we develop. We are not developing hyper-casual, but we learn from them.
Marketing is becoming much more important to mobile gaming than it has been in the past. So as the industry matures and becomes more competitive, it becomes more important how we invest in what new products that go forward. And what we're seeing, I think, across the industry is that marketing has a role to play in helping each company decide where to invest and how to invest. And so you see, from hyper-casual to ZeptoLab, marketing being involved right at the beginning and testing that user acquisition and seeing if it's actually possible to take this concept and sell it profitably out to users. So the movement of the industry towards programmatic and real-time auctions is hugely exciting from a user acquisition standpoint, because historically we've been held back by a lack of transparency, not knowing where our advertising is going, not knowing how it's really performing, and having to rely on a third party between us and the final publisher where our advertising is. But with the move to programmatic and the move to RTB, now we can choose and we can say, actually, we want to advertise specifically in this game and we want to pay this price, and we can see what happens with that. So it puts a lot more data, a lot more information back in our hand, and a lot more flexibility. There's one group which is trying to hold back from this change and almost putting their head in the sand and hoping that programmatic goes away. That group is still not transparent, might still not share publisher names with us and that kind of thing. That tends to be a group that we move away from. And then there's another group of partners that are embracing it. And those partners, I feel, are becoming more sophisticated. They need to understand themselves a lot more about how RTB works, and they are starting to hire salespeople and account managers that understand it and understand machine learning, which a few years ago, it was very, very rare to find a salesperson for an ad partner that had any machine learning background whatsoever. But now that's starting to change.
For us, it's creating a change of mind of how to understand each of the partners to be able to place them in the right position of the waterfall.
I don't think enough of the industry has moved across to header bidding. I think there's still a lot of confusion out there and a lot of mistrust of what header bidding will actually bring to publishers. I don't think at this point there's been enough case studies proving that revenue goes up. And there's a technical cost to shift from a mediation platform that you might already be using if you are going to shift to somebody else's header bidding platform. And so I don't think yet we've done a good enough job at convincing the industry that that cost will be regained and more benefits will come from moving to header bidding. I think it will come. I think we are starting to see it's moving in that direction, but I don't know if it's 6 months, 12 months or 18 months before we get there.
Geography matters because, for example, in CADs, we have 50% revenue coming from China.
Quality matters. We don't want to buy or be involved in any sort of fraudulent activity, so they need to have a good reputation for quality. Transparency matters. If they're not willing to share data with us, then that's certainly a negative. And then I would say the third thing that we look for is a proactive attitude. So if they're coming to us and saying, hey, how about changing this or trying this in a campaign, that's fantastic. Too many of them just sit back and take our money. Gaming is not an industry where companies necessarily grow and keep growing and keep growing. In gaming, you can go up and you can go down, depending on the latest product that you've launched. And so I really value partners that stay with us in the good times, but also through the times when maybe we can't spend as much on user acquisition as we did a year ago.
It's important that we get our learnings together with the partner, as the partner digs into our data the same as we do and sees the data from the different angle. We started working with ChatBoost many years ago. When you meet ChatBoost people at the conferences and you still see the same people, so meaning that during this like 7 years, the people are still with the company. And what I like especially about ChatBoost is always, throughout all these years, it's a very friendly partner. Which is very different from others. We don't have just basically formal relationship with you guys. We always have something informal, something in common to share, and we can sit and laugh and talk about some personal stuff.
Every time I have to contact the account managers, either team or with Robin, it was like always is a pleasure because they are always open to collaborate, like to answer all your questions. And for sure, all our meetings, we always book at an hour, but half of it is just like, tell me what you did the weekend, what are your plans for the next weekend, or please share me the pictures. So is this friendship that you are building, like helps like later when you have any issue or they want to test something, like it's awesome because it can only work. It's just like fluid, and I really love like working with you guys. It's like really pleasant.
Partnership is not the relationship between companies, it's the relationship between people. And that's where we get this extra mile, which helps a lot and which moves us and which moves the industry. Do not underestimate analytics. Data is everything. Marketing is very important. Try to test everything as early as possible. It's not the space now where you develop the game for half a year, and then you launch it, and then like here you come, the first data. Like be proactive and try to break it into small pieces and get your first results as early as possible, so to understand whether it's a prospect or you should kill it.